All right, so welcome everyone to today's webinar, The Dynamic of a Modern Broker. And I know at one point in this presentation, we're going to talk about being on time. So I want to make sure we get going. Obviously, we welcome people as they join. But we are thrilled to have you join us today as we unpack what it means to be a broker in today's fast-paced and tech-empowered world. So, as we have welcomed 2024 with new goals and expectations, we at Buildout have reaffirmed our core belief that the successful commercial real estate industry is broker-led yet tech-enabled. And despite the talk of broker disintermediation, we see a bright future where brokers are empowered by technology. These folks will drive the next bull market. So that's why we're here today. And that's why we believe that the best brokers use Buildout, allowing them to be focused, delegate wisely, and become sought after experts in their field. So if you don't know who I am, I'm Amanda Betts. I'm the head of marketing here over at Buildout. And I have the pleasure today to be accompanied with my colleague, Taylor Clausen, our Vice President of Enterprise Growth. Taylor has been with Buildout for going about 2 years now and has worked closely with many of our critical growth partners. Taylor, anything you want to say?
Thanks, Amanda. Hi, everyone. Happy to be on this call with you all today as we recently kicked off the annual DNA of CRE results, where we, in partnership with the Broker List, surveyed brokers from coast to coast on their business needs, practices, overall sentiments. A lot of great stuff in here. So on the heels of launching that report, we compiled our own paper, which we launched today, thanks to Amanda and the marketing team, and where we dive into key insights to share the topic we are here to discuss today.
Awesome.
All right, so the modern broker, today's successful broker isn't waiting for the future. They're actively shaping it. They're not just involved, they're invested in knowledge, efficiency, relationships. These professionals stand ready, knowing that when the market peaks, they've been integral in its ascent. Here at Buildout, we would define a modern broker as someone that is multiple focused. We'll talk about what we mean by that. Smart and sought out.
All right. So when we think about leading, how we encapsulate this entire topic, and based on what we learned from the DNA of CRE, along with what we've witnessed with working with some of the most successful brokers here in the US, we're going to discuss top 5 habits that we've defined for success for the modern broker.
Yeah, and I don't know if 5 is the magic number per se. There could be 10, there could be 20, but these 5 seem to be the 5 key considerations that not just brokers, but their teams as well could review, digest, seem practical, and help you think through how you want to tackle what's looking like to be an unpredictable year.
Kind of going from last year to this year, that's for sure. So let's set the stage a little bit. Not sure if everyone's familiar with the DNA of CRE directly, but it is a survey we've launched and managed for over 9 years now, where we collect feedback from brokers from coast to coast. And respondents to this survey over the years have consistently noted that the most important driver of new business is relationship building, cultivating, building those relationships, about 62% this past year. And also ranking high consistently has been personal reputation, about 61%, and then word of mouth, about 40%. So there really is a close correlation between relationship building and personal reputation, suggesting that brokers really do see these elements as truly interconnected. So Taylor, I'm curious from your perspective, we know that human relationships are what fuel CRE, but in your opinion, how do brokers master this skill for a human-led business?
Yeah, I think it's a mix of things. I think you might be surprised to hear what I think is most important is this first habit that we pulled out of the report, and that's being someone who is always open to continuous learning, someone who is adaptable.
Hmm.
This means staying informed on industry movements, grasping emerging tech, being ready to pivot as the market dictates. Why? Because this keeps you as the broker at the forefront of being what we call multiple focused.
Okay.
If you're multiple focused, you know how to maximize your output, as you know how to appropriately lean on additional resources that are available to you to free up your time along with anticipating changes in your market to keep you nimble for your clients. Now, I'm not talking about abandoning your tried and true processes that work year after year and trying to recreate yourself every year. Of course not. But I think this does mean being open to incorporating something new to make yourself more agile, more available, freeing
Mm.
up time to be able to truly make this the relationship business that it needs to be and invest in those relationships.
I think the agile piece is pretty spot on. And that's for anyone in any industry, truly. And I think in today's market where technology especially is coming at us so fast, and there's a time and a period where the internet, we had a decade to digest it and figure out how we're going to use it. Now it's a matter of months when new tech comes at us. So continue learning, exploring, adaptability. That makes a lot of sense, Taylor. Now, I think speaking on behalf of Taylor and myself, we'd love to hear from all of you. So we're going to put in maybe one or two polls within this presentation because we want to hear from you guys so it's not completely one-sided. And we have a poll ready we want to put up here on the screen. Now this will be quick. We'll take about 30, 40 seconds to make sure everyone gets a chance to respond. But yeah, feel free to give us your response here about how do you currently use new tech? Okay. I'm gonna click and put share. Maybe you guys can see that. Very cool. So thank you. We had a pretty good participation on that. Also not shocking that the vast majority are exploring to implement some new technology. We'll make sure to share these stats here at the end when we do our follow-up with you guys so you can figure out where you might be sitting within the market. But thanks. Thanks for participating. So now we're going to move on to our second habit, right? Now let's discuss time. We're all given the same 24 hours every day, right? And we can all understand how valuable it is. And sometimes it just feels simply we do not have enough. And effective time management is absolutely critical. So by setting clear goals, utilizing time-saving techniques, and prioritizing impactful tasks can really multiply, to Taylor's earlier point, your productive hours dramatically. So on that front, Taylor, how would you say you manage your own time?
Always room to improve. I think this is one of those easier said than done, right?
Mm.
But I think what's interesting to me is that we often don't speak a whole lot about time management systems. And as we move into a world that's increasingly demanding and we've got a lot of things demanding our attention, I think we need to talk about it more. In our Dynamics of a Modern Broker paper, we did a little bit of polling. We showed that 1 in 5 adults are chronic procrastinators. We're virtual today, so I can't ask for a show of hands. But although I guess it wouldn't be too taboo of a topic if 20% of us struggle on a daily basis with this. In another study, we found it showed that 82% of on-the-go professionals lack a support system to manage their time.
Mm.
So 82% of us are essentially winging it when it comes to how we manage our time, our weeks, our days. And the 20% who have a system in place, they probably love us for it because they're using it to get ahead. I think the cliche here of failing to plan is planning to fail rings true.
Mm.
And we need to be asking questions like and doing an audit of what are you uniquely good at in your office, on your team, in your brokerage? What can you delegate to others? Who else in your office can do something even 75% as good as you can? What can you delegate, maybe not to another person, but to automation? What can you automate? What can you delegate to technology or to a partner or to a vendor? These are questions that we should be constantly asking ourselves.
I fear I might fall into one of the five. Every once in a while, I think it depends, excuse me, on how much coffee I have. But I think really what you're saying here, you have to first assess what truly needs to remain on your plate versus what doesn't need to be on your plate, because that will help you determine where you do delegate versus how you do manage your time. So that does make sense. Thank you, Taylor.
Mhm.
So back to the paper, right? Because we're here to talk about the dynamics of the modern broker paper. In there's a section where we talk about brand, one of my favorite topics. But the reality is that how brand is nowadays, brand is not your logo. Brand is not pretty pictures, right? Brand is ultimately what people say about you when you're not in the room. And because of this, we wanted to make sure that we talk about in our third habit, networking and relationship building, because it's what you lay to ground now is how you're represented when maybe you're not in the room. So let's talk a little bit about this, Taylor.
Yeah, reading some of these, you might think, wow, these are no-brainers, but they are essential. And maybe not all of us are able to articulate our own brand quite yet, but a good place to start would be, what are your clients, what are your peers saying about you? In this study that we did with all of you, it's no surprise that brokers stated referrals from past clients is the most popular method of prospecting for new opportunities, to the tune of 86%. They also deemed that the most effective way to prospect, 40% of you. In addition to that, the second most used opportunity was referrals from other brokers. So this is about making genuine connections, sharing insights, opening doors to new opportunities. Make sure to be present where the conversations are happening, both offline and online.
I love this because I think about how you might specialize in an area really becomes associated with your brand. There is a social media handle out there. It's very active on Twitter and LinkedIn. The strip mall guy. Strip mall guy has a brand. People just know him. Thousands upon thousands of followers because he has cemented his place as being a subject matter expert on strip malls and the business of that. So this kind of feels very true to that as a good working example. So I do believe this is all why we see an increase in brokers' interest in using social media, which has increased significantly from year over year in the report, that we are seeing more use of social media as a mode of tool for brokers. Right, Taylor? I think that you were seeing some of that too.
Yeah, it's definitely spiked from the last survey, and we've got some data in the paper about it. Dare I say it's becoming more of a table stakes medium, frankly. Now, 3 out of 4 brokers are stating they're using social media. Anecdotally, I don't know if any of you are able to affirm this, but I think a lot of brokers are still trying to find the best way to measure the efficacy of social media and how they're using it. Um, I think it'd be helpful to think about social media as an extension of how you conduct your business in person. It's a scalable way to foster relationships, be resourceful, be appropriately celebratory, highlight your clients, and so on. I think the recent stat is that Americans spend, I think, 4.5 hours a day on their phone. So if you want clients, peers, investors, et cetera, to know about you, your business, your brand, you've got to go to where they are. And this is one of the spots where they are.
I mean, I'm in marketing. You definitely do not need to twist my arm, but I know in having some of these discussions, even within our own leadership here at Buildout, social media is not really a matter of if you should use it now. It's really a matter of how. And that's also a sentiment that we're taking on internally. And we'll come back around and support the audience that you guys are on here today and help you with really tactical ways to deliver on effective social media. We will save that for another day. So now let's talk about habit number 4, innovation and creativity. So these two are seen as engines of growth. And as brokers and broker teams, fostering a workplace where new ideas and those ideas are encouraged and creative solutions are implemented ensures that your team and services remain at the cutting edge. So Taylor, what kind of sort of innovations have you heard of recently?
Yeah, one I heard of recently is has to do with AI, a topic I'm sure we're all used to either reading about or seeing pop up on social media or maybe within our respective organizations. But a recent study came out from one of our customers, Newmark, who held a roundtable discussion about AI and AI within their organization specifically. They've invested in it so much that they've hired a head of product development, Ali Meng, to lead what they're calling their enterprise GPT initiative. Now, to paraphrase this roundtable discussion, basically this team rolled out an enterprise GTP across the org that they trained on their own data. And the team focused on getting internal stakeholders a solution that allowed them to complete core use cases for Chat GPT without sharing Newmark's proprietary sensitive data outside their four proverbial walls.
Mm.
The team then integrated Newmark's data into this enterprise GPT framework and launched their own Newmark GPT. There was so much general interest that people were curious and wanted to try it out. And so far, this rollout has been really successful. This is just one example of a large brokerage trying something new, making a bet, getting buy-in, testing, iterating, and we'll see where it goes from here.
Yeah, I know that roundtable they just had with Allie hosting just like a week or two ago, and it was really insightful. So anyone listening maybe can seek that out and listen. I know when we were talking and preparing for this class, and you also talked about creative example, right? Something to do with renderings, visual media.
Yeah, this was one. We were at a conference recently, and we had one of our customers walk up who had invested in Buildout Media and was just wanted to share this story with us while we were there at the booth. And I'm grateful that he did. He told us how a 3D rendering project that he purchased from our Buildout Media team had now become a staple when it came to getting potential buyers, investors, tenants on site, particularly for an office building. So what he would do is make an appointment, bring the interested parties there to the property, and take out an iPad and literally be able to show almost like in an augmented reality type way. I don't know if you've seen that before, but you're looking at a room and you're seeing how it's laid out and what it currently looks like, but to be able to hold up the iPad with the 3D rendering and cast the vision right there. It was also just a nice hook to get folks on site for a tour and have that conversation. I thought that was a creative way to help move somebody along the funnel and progress conversations.
Proactively using it versus just from a marketing pitch perspective. That's pretty cool.
Right.
Thanks for sharing. All right, so let's talk about our fifth one. And this is probably personally my favorite. And our fifth habit is going to be pick a horse. Now, this is a phrase that we have used kind of often more internally than anything. And I first heard it coined from our co-CEO, Chris Crisco. So, Taylor, would you want to tell our guests here what we mean by pick a horse?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, here at Buildout, when we say pick a horse, we're advising customers, prospects, choose a tech partner, not just a vendor. And I know that can be hard sometimes. There's a lot of technology companies out there, but you got to find one that aligns with your vision, your strategy, one who can help you sift through some of the noise or some of the other new technologies to deliver software that really adds measurable value to your clients, not in an abstract someday type of way, but in a tangible, immediate way. I like how Matt Rossman of Bryan Industrial, one of our customers, described it recently in an article. He was quoted as saying, I'm looking for tech partners that are evolutionary versus revolutionary. I mean, it's great to hear when a tech company has really lofty goals about how they're going to change the world. But also make sure you're asking, how are you going to help me run my business today? How are you going to put more hours in my day, in my week? How are you going to help me win more business right now? How are you going to help me get my listings in front of more potential buyers? Revolutionary is great, but evolutionary, I think that's even better.
I think when I was sharing some of those sentiments, because when we got Rossman's quote, because he shouted us out, which was beautiful, and I shared that with members of our team, I think people really gravitated towards that evolutionary versus revolutionary. It's almost a little bit to our secret sauce that taking those steps along the way through is really critical. So I know that in our paper that we launched, that we highlighted another story, one of our talented account managers, Jay, about a small team he was working with out in Boston who was struggling in a sea of spreadsheets. So is that a story, Taylor, you want to share here with this group?
Yeah, it's a great story, and I think many of you might find it somewhat relatable, and it draws back to what we talked about earlier about just being a team, a person, an organization that is open to adapting, open to continuous learning.
Yeah.
Uh, just because we've done something one particular way doesn't mean that's necessarily the best way for this year. So, case in point, there's a brokerage, a team of 5 in Boston. Um, it had been the way that they'd always done prospecting. They would dump all of this prospecting data, they'd scrub all their different sources, bring all the data into one spreadsheet, and then would start this process to dole it out to their 5 different brokers to chase down these leads, turn it into business. But they would constantly need to go back and double check who was talking to who. Are we walking over each other? And it became a full-time job for one unlucky team member who was essentially juggling these 5 spreadsheets at once and making them all sync together and talk together in harmony. And it literally became her full-time job. Well, with Buildout, they quickly found they could put a framework up that could organize this data all in one place. They had frankly, the courage to learn a new way, right? And to learn a new way of doing things. And now they can search for information in a much easier and quicker way. Prospecting projects could be easier implemented. They became that much more efficient, organized, and they dramatically increased, their speed to lead essentially and won more business as a result. So I love that. Just a really practical story about how the right tech in the right context can change a trajectory of a business.
It is a good example, and I think it is probably pretty relatable. Now, if anyone on this call, and I know there's a big percentage of you said, hey, you're trying new tech this year, there's a small group of you like, we don't know where to start. Call us out, reach out to us when we do this follow-up and we send you guys this recording. We actually have a whole nother resource we're willing to give to you. It's called our tech appetite. And so if you're sitting here going, hey, we currently use spreadsheets, or we still use post-it notes, or we use this massively long Google Doc, and we don't know how to go from there to this, we have other resources we can send you and help you with that. But before then, let's do another poll, okay? Because we've now talked about the 5 habits and talking a little bit about technology, a little bit more so. We're doing another quick poll pop up, and on this topic again about what tech are you planning potentially to enhance this year? Interesting. Okay. Again, we'll share these results so you guys can kind of see that breakdown, but by and large, majority of you are looking at CRMs or a CRM solution or a mix of solutions. So thanks for sharing that. Okay. So
Okay,
where do we go from?
so quick recap: continuous learning and adaptability, effective time management, relationship building, networking, innovation and creativity, and pick a horse. Those are our five key points here. And we truly believe that embracing these habits will set you apart as a modern broker this year. So stay focused, keep learning, manage your time wisely, build that network, innovate, and most importantly, choose the right tech allies.
Spot on, Taylor. So you guys, everyone who's on, before we conclude, we do have that resource. We've been mentioning the dynamics of the modern broker paper. We do believe it's pretty invaluable and timely for right now. So don't forget to download that as a follow-up. We think it includes a lot of best practices, and it definitely goes deeper than what we've discussed here today. And at the very end of that paper, we've provided a handy dandy checklist that you guys can use, share with your teams that recover these same 5 things.
Thanks so much for your time, for your engagement today. We really appreciate it. We're excited to see you pave the way for success this year in your career and in your businesses.
Yes, thank you all for joining. Here's to scaling to new heights in 2024. Stay productive, stay innovative, stay connected. Goodbye, and we'll see you at the next webinar.